This lesson is how to multiply a mixed number and a whole number. A mixed number is a number that combines a whole number and a fraction. For example, the 3 in this number is a whole number because it represents 3 wholes. The 1/4 portion is a fraction because it represents only 1/4 of one whole. When you combine a whole number and a fraction together, it makes a mixed number. In this case, 3 and 1/4. We're multiplying the mixed number by a whole number today, so let's look at that. A whole number represents a whole. For example, 6 in this case would be 6 whole circles. A whole number can also be expressed in the form of a fraction, and that is our main idea for today's lesson, is that we can express a whole number in the form of a fraction. For example, 6 could be also expressed as 6/1, which is an improper fraction. We know that 6 is equal to 6/1 because 6 divided by 1 is equal to 6. So remember today that a whole number can be expressed in fraction form. We have 4 steps today in how to multiply a mixed number and a whole number. Our first step is to change the mixed number into an improper fraction, and I'll show you that in just a second. Our second step is that we change the whole number into fraction form. Next, we're going to multiply the improper fractions and the other fraction, but first we want to check to see if we can simplify and cross-cancel and reduce and rewrite our fractions. In this case, we are able to rewrite those 2 fractions, and now we're ready to multiply the numerator and then the denominator. And I'll show you all this in more detail in a second. That gives us an improper fraction. Finally, step 4 is that we change that improper fraction back into a mixed number, and we use division for that step, and that would give you your final answer in the form of a mixed number. Okay, let's look at that in more detail. Same problem. Step 1 is that we want to change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So how we do that is that we multiply the denominator, in this case the 4, times our whole number of 3. Then we add the numerator of 1. Our calculations would look like this. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13, and that becomes your numerator. On the bottom, your denominator just stays the same. That's your 4. So we've turned that into an improper fraction. Step 2 is that we change the whole number into a fraction by just writing it as 6/1. Step 3 is that we're going to multiply the fractions, but before we do that, it's always a good idea to simplify your fractions by using a cross-cancel strategy because it makes it easier to do it now than to have to simplify your fraction when it's real big later on. So let's look at 13/1, which is our opposite numerator and denominator, and we want to find the greatest common factor of those 2 numbers. Well, the greatest common factor for 13 and 1 is just 1, which means that we're not going to change those because when you divide by 1, the number stays the same. Let's look at the next set. That would be 4 and 6. 4 and 6 do share a greatest common factor of 2. So we want to divide by 2. At the top, the 6 divided by 2 is 3, so we're going to rewrite that fraction as 3/1. The 4 on the bottom divided by 2 is 2. So we rewrite that, and when we put our 13 back on top, we have 13/2. Now we're ready to multiply the fractions. We multiply the numerators on top. 13 times 3 is going to be equal to 39. On the bottom, 2 times 1 is equal to 2. That gives us a fraction 39/2, which is an improper fraction. Our last step is now we want to change this back into a mixed number. To do that, we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. You're going to need your long division skills for this, but if you use those skills, you're going to come up with an answer of 19 with a remainder of 1. Remember, your remainder for these kind of problems needs to be written as a fraction. So that 1 we're going to put up top as the numerator. Our denominator will still be the 2 that we were using before. That will give you an answer of 19 1/2, which is in the form of a mixed number. All right, let's review what we learned today. The first step for these kind of problems is that we want to turn the mixed number into an improper fraction. Next, we take our whole number and just rewrite that as a fraction by writing, in this case, 6/1. Next, we want to simplify the fractions if we can, and in this case, we were able to simplify. Then we multiply the fractions, the numerators, and then the denominators. That gave us an improper fraction, and we took that and used our long division skills to come up with the mixed answer, in this case, of 19 1/2. If you made it this far, great job. Thank you, and keep practicing every day, and we hope to see you on the next one.